Esther, when you hear someone like Hassan Akkad, who came from Syria, nearly got killed in Syria for expressing his right to free speech and protesting, and then finally comes here and then goes and works on a COVID ward as a cleaner to give back to his country. I mean, it takes a pretty hard heart to say people like him should be, if they get here, shipped off to Rwanda, isn't it?
Well, the difference is how he got here, right? I think he had enough respect for Britain to not gatecrash his way via dinghy, right?
Well, he gatecrashed his way with a fake passport, which meant he didn't have to get a dinghy, but he was in the Calais jungle, and many other people like him get in these boats every day, and they risk their lives.
That doesn't make it right. And this is the thing, I think people often assume that we're not compassionate to people's plight to trying to get into the UK. But it really says something about how you try and get into a country if you have complete disregard for rule of law. Look, we're in a cost of living...
Doesn't it say that they're desperate people?
Yeah, but so they're desperate people in the UK. We're in a cost of living crisis. People are being taxed to try and pay for the public services that we use to try and take care of their families, right? And the British taxpayers effectively signed a blank check to let these people in, and there are no checks, there are no borders, there's none of that. I don't think that's fair.
But Britain's always had a reputation for being, as Hassan said, you know, around the world, for being respectful, for being accepting, for being tolerant.
There's a limited...
There is, and there are no doubt there are some people, I'm sure, who scam the system. But there's also no doubt that the majority of these people are fleeing war-torn countries, and we used to feel a moral duty to take people in. Now we feel that the only duty we have is put them on a very expensive plane, making no commercial sense, and fly them 8 hours and thousands of miles to Rwanda. And I think most people in Britain feel really uncomfortable about this.
No, I'm sorry. I don't agree with this idea that we're effectively shirking our responsibility. Britain has always been a very generous country, but we're also a country that has limited space, and there's only so many things we can do. What about genuine asylum seekers, genuine refugees that go through a legal process to try and come to the UK? And we realize that we were out of budget because we're having to, you know, put these people in hotels that have effectively come here via dinghies from France. They're not exactly escaping a war-torn country. They're coming from France.
It doesn't mean they're not escaping war-torn countries.
Exactly. No, but
they are. They just happen to have got to France and want to come to the UK.
If you're a genuine asylum seeker, you go to the first safe country that you arrive in. What is wrong with France?
Nothing, but what if they want to come to Britain?
Well, you don't get a choice.
You say we're not absolving... OK, well, Bonnie, I mean, the argument we're not absolving our responsibility and they should all stay in France, or we send them to Rwanda. I don't hear much from that side of the argument saying, actually, we should take a lot of these people in because they come from countries which, in some cases, we have bombed.
Well, you know, quick things. I mean, there's a lot to say, but quickly, a lot of people, young people, learn English. That's their language. That's language of business. It is the international language. So they got no business in France because they're not going to be able to speak the language. Okay, that's number one. Number two, one CEO said to me, a guy who makes his way across a desert, gets on a boat, a raggedy boat, makes it across the Mediterranean, gets across France and gets here. I might want to interview him for a job.
Well, like his son.
This is an enterprising dude. And the third thing is, and I think it's quite shocking, what's not taught in this country is that everyone in this country is either an immigrant or descended from an immigrant. So therefore, there should be basic understanding of immigration and a basic tolerance of immigration. I agree. But you know, we have to deal with, you know, with the country.
I mean, I would say, look, you have to control your border.
Of course you do. I mean, that's a national thing.
You have to have a regulated immigration system.
But there's a myth in this country that this country is somehow not an immigrant country. This is an immigrant country. And not only that, is that, as you said, in World War II, right before World War II, if it wasn't for Britain, there'd be a lot of British people here who would have been in gas chambers if Britain hadn't taken them in.
But the thing is, what